Hi, this is Allison.
And I'm Angie.
And we're from the Quest for Meaning podcast.
How's everybody doing today? We are here right in the middle of Aquarius season, so we thought we'd give you some fun information about the Zodiac sign Aquarius. Aquarius, yes. The weirdest sign of the Zodiac, maybe. So what we wanted to talk about is that just some basic facts. We're going to throw it out to you. We're going to be primarily talking about people with their sun sign in Aquarius. So that's people born late January through kind of mid to late February. It's usually right around the 20th of the month, but you can check online to get your exact birth information. I'll tell you if your sun is in Aquarius or not. Aquarius is a fixed air sign. So usually when it comes to air signs, it's a lot to do with how we think. So Aquarians, for a good chunk of their lives, a lot of it is also an identity sign. So it's thinking about who you are as a person and how that relates with other people out there in the world.
Usually when you think about air, you also think about creativity because it's putting all these things together in a very just a creative way. Like that's what air is associated with usually.
Right. And the other air signs are Gemini and Libra. Those are a little more, so Gemini is moving forward, always skipping to the next thing. Libra's kind of back and forth. It's known as the relational sign, but because of that fixed nature of Aquarius, a lot of it is, taking ideas and kind of circling on them and thinking about them for long periods of time. The planetary rulers, so each sign has planetary rulers, and Aquarius actually is one of the few signs that has two. It has its more historical ruler, which is Saturn, which was visible to the ancient world. And in modern times, once Uranus was discovered, became co-ruled. So Saturn is the teacher planet. The absolute best metaphor I heard for Saturn is that Saturn is like one of those Russian gymnastics coaches that just is like, again. But, it's rough. It's not always the kindest teacher. But once you get something, you get it. So if you can do a triple flip because your gymnastics coach made you do it 500 times, you will be nailing that triple flip at the Olympics. So if you think of Saturn on those terms, also obviously it's something that takes many slow and repetitive actions to master. So the other planet, Uranus, is kind of the planet of randomness, of chaos, of futurism, of excitement, like just the unexpected. So that's where I think Aquarius gets a lot of its edge. So, it's thought of as a progressive sign that is having to do with its relationship with both its inner world and its thoughts about, who they are as a person compared to the people at large. So they really are thinking about how they fit in. I know a lot of sun sign Aquarians who have for a lot of times kind of identified themselves as, I'm just going to throw out a few things that some Aquarians I personally know and like. So I'm not making fun of you Aquarians, but I have a friend who identifies as a comedian. I have a friend who is an adventurer. I know an Aquarian who is a surfer. And I would never, I would not call them any of those things, although I would definitely say they enjoy those things.
Right.
But I think that's kind of like the unique charm of Aquarius is that a lot of who they are is about who they think they are within the world. Obviously, as we just mentioned, Saturn is pretty tough.
Right.
So
I just want to make a real quick clarification. It's not that Aquarians are tough to other people. It's that Saturn is tough on
the Aquarius. And this is identity we're talking about. When it's sun, it is core identity. So
yes, and one of the other things that is known about Saturn is that it is almost like slow to mature. So it can take a long time for an Aquarian to really figure out what their identity is. And that's why they can sometimes be perceived not as their identity until they completely embody that identity, which takes time.
Right. And a lot of maybe, it's hard for an Aquarian to hear things because they might hear something, where different signs, if you say to somebody, oh, a comedian, you're not a comedian. What? And, the rest of us, if you've got really a strong sense of self, might just say, I am who I want to be and I'll do what I want. But Aquarians really take that to heart. Those life lessons, be it parental figures, just be it the kind of people they grow up with. Maybe they want to go on adventures, but everybody they go to, they know is like prep school, Ivy League, very straight-laced finance world. So, Aquarians really, part of their mission in this life is finding their path, finding out who they are, and then hopefully having something within them that takes it out of the head and into reality so they can really embody, who they think they are. So if you're an Aquarian and people have been telling you can't do it, or you even just perceive that you're hearing things, do differentiate that sometimes people's feedback, don't take it, don't take it too personally, because you are your own unique person, Aquarius, and you got to kind of carpe diem, seize those ideas. If you've been reading up on something a lot on the internet, you're super curious, take a class, take a vacation, go surfing, do what you want to do. So I think, Allison, I want to tell you a little bit about how Aquarius affects us personally. So everybody has Aquarius in their birth chart. If you don't know your birth chart, you can go to astro.com. They give free birth charts. Same with an app we both really like called Astro Matrix. There's new apps out there like CoStar Astrology. There's a lot of places online where you can see your birth chart for free. Right. But Allison, you have Aquarius in your third house.
Yeah, just to give a little snippet too, is that your birth chart is like this circular chart that goes through 1 through 12, which all are considered houses, and each house is considered a different place in kind of your identity,
your whole makeup,
your whole life. With like the first one being the most rudimentary of like your identity or your ego, and your 12th house being more your spirituality. So for me, my Aquarius lives in my third house, which is my house of communication and my house of thought. What is really interesting about that is that basically how you're perceiving me right now on this YouTube video is probably that I'm kind of Aquarian, because I'm probably communicating in a very Aquarian way. The other thing that's interesting about my birth chart specifically is that I have Saturn, which is the planet of Saturn, over in my house of the 11th house, which is your house of your tribe. So again, you all being my tribe are perceiving how I am doing things in a very Aquarian way because of the relationship between the two, because again, Aquarius is Saturn ruled. So me doing this podcast altogether is very, I don't know, like, first of all, it took me a very long time to get the guts to do something like this, which again is Saturn ruled, because it takes me a really long time to kind of, exactly, I think about it a lot. So that is kind of, I guess Aquarius's role in my life.
Yeah, and honestly, I've known Allison for quite a few years. She definitely is very socially aware, and by that I do mean, in addition to being socially aware, you are aware of everyone and everything, where thankfully I've got the opposite of Aquarius going on. I've got Leo rising. So, Leo is one of the more easy signs. Aquarius is one of the more difficult to comprehend. Everybody knows the Leo when they walk into the room, because they embody the lion, and everybody knows that the lion just wants to be the king. So they're not thinking about what does the zebra think and what does the antelope think and what does the meerkat think. They're just thinking, I'm a lion and I'm going to do my thing. Yeah. Whereas Aquarius, especially when it comes to those kind of things, can ruminate quite a bit, or really wonder if they are or are not fitting in. So I've got Aquarius in my 7th house. So like Allison said, there's 12 houses of the Zodiac. The primary function, this is what I love about astrology, the primary function of the 7th house is relationships, partnerships, really the one-to-one relationship. So be that with a significant other, be that with a business partner, co-host of a video.
Right. That's exactly
it. So with Aquarius, I would say for a long time, having that in my 7th house, and also having a few other Aquarian aspects. Like I've got Venus in Aquarius, so we're not going to go too deep into the planets today. But obviously, if you can imagine, Venus is probably very easy for anyone to just guess. Love is one of the things that it covers. If you had met me anytime up until maybe mid to late 20s, I kind of just treated everyone exactly the same. And Aquarians tend to view people, society at large, in a good way. I saw a joke about Aquarians recently, which is that Aquarians love people, but they really hate like individual people. Like they might not like their coworker, but they have great ideas for people. So with Venus there and having it on my 7th house cusp, I really thought, I'm just going to treat everybody good. And if you do that, that is going to come back positively. But for example, thank you to all the friends who've stuck by. But if you were, a romantic partner, that might have kind of irked you, because I've had people, they thought I liked them, which is why they liked me. Nope, just being friendly. Or
yeah, you're misunderstood as liking people a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could go the opposite way. I could be misunderstood as disliking everyone. But
yeah, that's true.
That is true. But I think the other thing about that is, as I've gotten older, I've had to consciously tell myself, if you are in a one-to-one partnership with someone, you really need to invest personally to that other person, whatever that means. It means doing things that they like. It means doing things, for them and with their best interest in mind. Where with the Aquarius nature in general, I kind of had like a solid set of guidelines for how I believe people felt to be treated, and that was kind of my rule of thumb. So certainly something learned with time, and I feel like I've gotten there. So if you know me now that I'm post Saturn return, we'll talk about that at a different time. But it is late 20s that you cross your Saturn return. I've definitely learned the lessons, and the same goes with anybody in general. Aquarians in the 7th house have to learn that people are individuals, and people with Aquarius suns, you are an individual. Go ahead and embody it. So
yeah, the only other thing I want to say is, like, not only embody it, but if you have friends that are Aquarius, like, seriously encourage them to think outside the box, because that is what they naturally are going to do and want to do, and they should be encouraged to do it, because unlike a lot of other signs, they are really thinking about like the world at large, and it really will just benefit everybody to like let those Aquarians really go outside the box and create a society that is better than what it was yesterday.
Right.
So
let them do some of the thinking, and if you can pull them into action, give them a lot of encouragement. They have a lot of ideas, and sometimes it's just getting those ideas out of their head. It can help you, it can help them. It'll make the whole world a little bit better and a little bit better. So whether you believe in astrology or not, understanding the Aquarius nature, be it due to the planets of Saturn and Uranus, be it due to when you were born, or just because some people are built that way. I think astrology is great just for having a little more understanding in the world. So thank you guys for watching our video.
if you like our style and you like what we have to say, go ahead and you can follow us below. Subscribe. And you can also check us out on the questformeaningpodcast.com.
Yep. Or on Instagram, we've got excellent photos. Quest for Meaning Podcast at Quest for Meaning Podcast. Yep. Peace. Until we meet again.